What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming.
Shut up and sit down.
Tom Vullo wants to play a Bone Nora Metis Auron for the Werewolf campaign. Now, he played this a little bit like 20 years ago when we first met and started hanging out. He did play some of the Werewolf game, but not very much. We were just in the process of jumping into Dungeons and Dragons when the 3rd edition came out. So, let's see what this is like. So I've gone over some information with him, and he's read some of the stuff, and it turns out that there's something we're going to be using in the rules. Not every storyteller uses it. Some don't even like it. It's called merits and flaws. And we're going to be using this in character creation, and particularly because he saw one he really likes. Not that werewolves aren't big enough to begin with in their Kronos battle form. No. Tom wants this Bone Nora Auron to be huge. He wants him to have the merit of huge size. So he's gone over a few things with me. He sent me an email and texts about it. And so we're going to get going. And we're going to see how this works. And I'm going to show you how to build a werewolf 2nd edition character while I build his. Now, the way I do it is a little bit of backwards engineering. So the first thing that we are going to want to do here is to deal with his gifts. The gifts that he is going to have as a Garou, as a player for his tribe, for his auspice, and for his breed. Not particularly in that order. So we've been talking about this, and I wrote out the notes, the way Tom is envisioning things. And I may, make a little change here or there, which he's aware of, to help fit the campaign that we're running. So let's see. I'm letting them have 3, not 2. The rules say 2. The rules say 2 gifts are what you start with. I'm being a mensch, and I'm letting everyone start with 1 of each. 1 breed gift, 1 tribe gift, and 1 auspice gift. So for being a metis, Tom chose create element is what he wanted. Now, I just want to make note that this involves the use of gnosis. We'll get to gnosis. We've also done the use of gnosis. We're going to make a gnosis roll difficulty 6. The reason you want to keep track of this and the other parts of interest with the gifts is because that's going to help you build your character, because you're going to know what skills, talents, abilities, attributes, and such that you're going to want to put points in. So now, create elements is really cool because it does, air, earth, fire, water. I mean, you can't create precious metals like silver, unfortunately, or fortunately. But yes, he, depending on the success, how many successes he gets, is the cubic feet of the element he's able to create. Air, earth, fire, water. Now, for his Auron gift, he wanted falling touch. The ability to touch someone, to send them flying. He sees this character as a pugilist and a bit of a judo thrower, tosser kind of guy. Now, this is going to involve him needing to make a dice pool roll involving dice from his dexterity, which is a physical attribute, and his knowledge of medicine, which is an ability. So we're going to have to remember when we're giving out points in these skills, abilities, attributes, and stuff, we have to keep these in mind. Now, lastly, for being a Bone Nora, he liked the idea of a scent of sweet honey. And that does just that. It puts this really nice, fruity, honey-like coating all over the person that just drives insects wild. Insects love this stuff, from ants to bees and hornets. Oh, they can't get enough of this stuff. Yeah, and that's going to be a wits and subterfuge roll. He's going to have to spend a gnosis for that. So we know that he's going to want to make sure his gnosis is high. a little later in character creation, as well as his dexterity, his medicine, his wits, and his subterfuge. So we're going to have to keep an eye on those. Now, from there, I want to discuss with you what it means to be a metis. He has chosen a metis over being that of a homid, or human, birth, or a lupus, a wolf-born. He is werewolf mating with werewolf, which according to the Garou, it's a sin. He's a walking sin, my friends. But they all the metis, the mules, they all have at least one deformity. And the one he chose is one of the ones that, again, a lot of storytellers don't particularly care for this because it's one of the least damaging, maybe is the right word. But Tom took this specifically because he wants to start making connections with the Stargazer tribe, he said. And yeah, this metis deformity will help him with that because he picked third eye. That's right in the center of his forehead, a third eye opens up, which is always visible in the Umbra, the spirit world that the Garou can travel to. But otherwise, in the outside world, you can't really notice anything. Maybe a thick scar runs across his forehead there, but unless he opens the eye up, no one's going to notice anything. But yeah, the Stargazers hold it in high regard. So he's going to be using this a lot for his role-playing in the character of the game. I like that. So I decided to let him go for it. Now, getting into attributes and abilities, as I've been mentioning of them. So attributes, and both attributes and abilities are both in sets of 3. And in fact, the attributes have sets of 3s in them, while the sets and abilities are much larger. But yeah, so for the, when you're looking at attributes on the character's sheet, you're going to see they're broken up into 3 categories of physical, social, and mental. And we're going to see that the abilities are likewise broken down into talents, skills, and knowledges. Now, all the way down, if you have a copy of the character sheet, all the way down at the bottom of that character sheet, you're going to see a breakdown of character building, how you spend your points, because there's no rolling of dice to create a character here. This is all based on a point system that they've created. So now combining what we're looking at now with the attributes and the abilities, as well as what we've just went through with our gifts, we know where to min-max, so to speak, a little bit, at least to start off with. So we know that his dexterity, his medicine, his wits, and his subterfuge are going to have to be somewhat higher if we can work that out. So the breakdown on this, and we'll start with the attributes, is you have 7 points, 5 points, and 3 points. And you're going to assign these to one of the 3 categories. It doesn't necessarily have to be in this order. You can put the 7 points if you want towards your social, and you could put the 3 points towards your physical and the 5 points towards your mental. However you work it out, as long as one of those 3 stats, one of those 3 categories has 7 points in it, another has 5, and the third has 3. Your primary, secondary, and tertiary attributes. Now, there is a lot more than 3 underneath the abilities, as you see. So I'm not going to go into each and every single one of those, except for the ones that we're going to need to discuss. So another thing you may notice if you're looking at the character sheet is that there's 1 dot already filled in on each of the attributes. 1 dot in every single one of them. That's because you're living. You're alive. So you have a minimum of 1 dot or rank in each of these. So I'm trying to help Tom build this character out in the way he wants. And he's putting a lot of trust in me to give him a good, interesting character. So I'm looking at this, and I think the best breakdown for Tom, looking at this over, would be to put 7 points at his physical, 5 as mental, and 3 for his social attributes. I think is the best way to break that down, because he's looking at a physical character. Now, I really struggled with this a little bit because I wanted his mental to be a little bit higher because of the camp that he chose, which is a Frankenwheeler. Frankwheeler. Frankwheelers are a tribe of bone gnawers that like to spend time in museums, bookstores, theater. And they, although they're bone gnawers, so they're basically some form of homeless people, they are quite educated and enjoy the finer things, at least one finer thing, maybe literature or maybe plays, something like that, So I did want to get that a little bit higher, but he's an Oran, and I really think he's going to need to be physical. So, Tom is going so far as wanting this guy to be huge with the merit, which we'll get to those. Yeah, let's make him physical. So 7 points for physical, 5 for mental, 3 for social. And looking at how I broke that down here, it looks like we're going for 3 points in strength, 2 points in dex, 2 points in his stamina. Then we're going to go 2 points in wit, 1 point in perception, 2 points in intelligence. And to round out his attributes, we're going to give him 1 point in charisma and 2 points in manipulation. Now remember, all of these attributes start with a base of 1 already that you do not have to pay for. So that means that his strength, he put 3, we're putting 3 dots, 3 ranks to that. He already has 1 that puts it at 4. If any attribute or ability has 4 or more, you get to choose a specialty, which is very important. Because if when you're making your die pool roll with something in that category and you get a 10, every 10 you get not only counts as a success, but you get to re-roll it for a chance at another success. And yes, you can keep getting 10s and keep getting more successes. It does compound on top of itself. So for him, since he wants to be huge, we're going to give him the specialty of massive. So this means that any time when he's making any sort of strength roll, if being massive is going to give him an advantage, he will get to re-roll any and all 10s in that dice pool roll. All right, cool. But that's it. None of the other points in his attributes are 4 or more, so he won't be getting any other specialties at this point. Although, when you advance the character through experience points, you can, add on to your abilities and your attributes, putting them over 4, and then later on gaining a specialty. Now that we got the attributes looked at, let's do his abilities. And I want to put the 13, the highest, the 13 points at his skills, the secondary, 9 points at his talents, and the tertiary, 5 points, we're going to put at his knowledge. Now, how is this all being broken down? Well, let me tell you. So, with the skills, which he's got the most, 13 points in, and by the way, abilities all start at 0. All start at 0, all the abilities. Unlike the attributes at 1, abilities all start at 0, which is why they're not filled in on the character sheet. So 13 skills, being a Frankwheeler and being into, plays and movies and old books and everything, we're giving him 5 in melee. And the specialty for that is going to be swords. So anytime in melee combat, he's using a sword and Tom rolls a 10, not only is that a success, he's going to get to re-roll that for more successes, which will compound on top of how many ever 10s he keeps rolling. We're going to give him 2 for performance. 2 for performance because he's a ham at heart. 3 for stealth. Because even though he's a big guy and he's Oran, he grew up in the Sept being a metis. So as a kid, he had to learn to sneak around to avoid his beatings. The other Garou are usually not too friendly with metis. So we're going to give him 3 on stealth there to show his childhood, having to sneak around to avoid beatings. And also, because he's a bone gnawer, because he's used to sneaking around, we're going to give him 3 in survival. And as soon as he gets another point in that, of course, we're going to give the specialty of urban survival, urban streets, things like that. Then we are going to jump to his talents. Yes, his talents. The talents were given out 9 points, making this his secondary attributes. And I think we're gonna break this down. We're gonna give him 2 points at brawl and 3 points at dodge. Again, when he was a kid, having to run and hide, even though he was big, he had to learn a few things like this. So yeah, 3 points at dodge, 2 points at intimidate, because whether he tries or not, my God, he's massive and huge. He's intimidating. And he might smell a little bit too, since he's homeless. And with the 2 extra points left, we're going to give him 1 each in primal, urge, and streetwise. I was contemplating giving him more in streetwise, but I guess we can roll that out, that he spent more time hiding out in playhouses, movie houses, and libraries than spending time on the street. That makes sense. And that'll leave his knowledges, and that's 5 points. That's not a lot. So we're going to put 3 at medicine and 2 at rituals. I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to start him off with the background of rituals quite yet, but it's nice to know that he has some skills in them, even though he hasn't learned any specific ones yet. It's going to come in handy. So there, we got his attributes and we got his abilities. We know his metis deformity and we know his gifts. All right. Things are going along pretty smoothly. Character sheet was beginning to look a little more filled out, if you ask me. Now, let's get to the backgrounds. Backgrounds are really important with the werewolves, and many of them have restrictions, such as the bone gnawers. They can't take pure breed, they can't take mentor, they can't take resources, because they're like homeless people. And their family and kinfolk are street folk also. So there's not a lot there. Now, for all of the characters in this campaign, I am giving them a couple of freebies. I'm starting them off with 1 free background point in Totem and 1 free background point in Familiar Spirit, which I did not get from the core rulebook, but I got that from the player's guide. So 1 free point in each of those. Now, for character creation, there's 5 background points to spend. So we're going to boost up what he has and give him something new, is what we're going to be doing with the background points. So we're going to give him another 1 point. We're going to buy another 1 of his 5 points for Totem, bringing his Totem up to 2. What this means has nothing to do with him personally, but whatever pack he's in, he's bringing some extra totemic energy to it. And the more totemic energy that a pack has, the more abilities and power that they're feeding into their totem, so the more things the totem can do for the pack. Now, the Familiar Spirit, we're going to give him 2 more. We're going to give him 2 more points in this, 2 more points in that. Giving him a total of 3 in Familiar Spirit. And I'll get this Familiar Spirit shortly. We're dealing with it a little bit more in the freebie points coming up. But it's very interesting, very cool. Now, that was 2 points. That was 2 points. 1 point, 2 points for Familiar Spirit, 1 point for Totem, raising those up. So he has 2 points left. And we're going to give him a fetish of magic items. They're items that the Garou convince, sometimes trap, spirits into living in these items. And that gives these items abilities equal to the spirit. So there was something I really like here for him, Bones of Shielding. And this is a level 2 rank, ergo 2 point buy for his fetish, Bones of Shielding. And these are just bones with runes carved into them that get woven into his hair and his fur. And what they do is they have 4 activations, and during these 4 activations, each one of them will allow him extra soak dice when you're trying to soak damage, so you don't take it all. And whatever his gnosis is, half of that gets added to his soak dice. But 4 times, and then it crumbles away to dust. So those are the 5 points for his background. 2 points for level shielding, 2 points for familiar spirit, and 1 for added on to the totem. So for a total with the free stuff, 2 totem, 3 familiar spirit, and 2 fetish. Now I want to move on to the freebie points. After that, I'll deal with merits and flaws. Since they're not actually part of the core book creation, they're something that came in with the player's book. And not every storyteller digs allowing their players to use merits and flaws. So let me deal with the freebie points here. So there's a certain level of points that you have. This is 15, but it's not a 1-for-1 ratio on every single thing you want to buy. No, we have a table that tells us how much things cost out of your 15 freebie points. So what I want to do for Tom is I want to raise his willpower 1 point, and that'll cost 1 point. I want to raise his gnosis by 2 points, and that'll be 4. Bringing him up to a total of 5 points of his 15 spent. I want to give him 1 extra point. I want to give him 1 extra point in background for familiar spirit. I'm sorry, 2 more. I want to give him 2 more points for that. 2 more points for that. I want to give him another point for background with another fetish. There's a Bone Nora specific fetish that I saw that I really kind of want him to have. Again, it's something I think he's had since he was young, something he found or was given to him by an elder maybe to help him get away from some of the bullies. And that's something called the Lost Key Ring. Now, with the Lost Key Ring, it is a rank or level 1 device, and when he activates it, for that immediate turn that he activates it, he can pull out any key for any door. It disappears immediately in the next turn, lost somewhere in the key ring. But in that moment, if he activates it right, he can open up any door. I thought that was kind of cute, something that he used to escape all the time. Now, for 7 points, here, we're going to give him another level 1 gift. Something from being an Audon, and we're going to give him Razor Claws. Razor Claws. That'll help out in the combat, definitely, and it's very fitting since he's an Auron, and he's been needing to fight most of his life to survive. That brings us around to merits and flaws, my friends. Now, I don't play with a cap because I'm very strict with your flaws and merits. So I worked out 13 points. I like to have them balance out. I do. So I start with the merits because that's what you really want, right? The merits. So how are you going to buy off the merits? You figure out with flaws. So with the merits, there was 4. Basically, 4 merits is what he was looking for. And together it was a little bit expensive, 13 points. And how that broke down was he wanted, as I said in the beginning of this, huge size. So now he gets an extra bruise level on his health condition, which is awesome. And in his Hamid form, his human form is over 7 feet tall, over 400 pounds. He's like Andre the Giant. Now, the big, even bigger than the 4-point huge size, 6 points he wanted for Metamorph. Which, if your storyteller is allowing you to play with merits and flaws, check on this, because if so, you're going to want it. Metamorph, basically means you're not going to have to roll to change forms from human to wolfman to direwolf to near human to wolf, whatever. You're not going to have to roll because you are a metamorph master, and you don't even got to spend a rage point to do any immediate morphing at all. Now, similar to that, but a lot less, only 1 point, only 1 point merit is mixed morph. And Tom wanted that because this means that he can do things like, while he's in human form, he can make his hand like Krynos battle claws. Or maybe when he's in his lupus wolf form, he can have a human throat and voice box and everything so he can talk. Yeah. And finally, the last thing he wanted, which I just think is downright hysterical, and I'm going to love playing this up in the game, for 2 points, is bad taste. It doesn't add any smell beyond him being a Bone Nora, But he has this nasty kind of oily substance on him that just makes anything that bites him, licks him, tastes his flesh, just makes him retch. Well, at least they're going to have to make a willpower roll in order to stop retching from this. So for the 13 points that I had to buy off here, I think Tom's going to be happy with this. This is all surprise, all new to him. So I guess the big one here is for 3 points is hunted. So there's a retired or ex-police officer from New York City that we're going to create an NPC for, who has become a werewolf hunter and has crossed paths with Tom's bone Nora and is specifically hunting him. Now for 2 points, a bunch of them are 2 points. He has an enemy. Besides being hunted, he has an enemy, and that is a Fomori member of a strike team, a Pentex strike team. That is also his enemy. Besides being hunted, he has an enemy. 2 points, a mark of the predator. So herbivores fear him and carnivores see him as a threat. It's natural pheromones that he gives off. But he also has signs of the wolf. Another 2-point flaw. His eyebrows. He has a unibrow. They match. They meet up. The palms of his hand are hairy. The second and third digits of his fingers are the same length. All the mythological signs, pretty much, of a werewolf are present in his physical form. Now, he also suffers from a forced transformation. Whenever the moon is in his phase, which for him is a full moon, being an Auron, whenever the moon is in the phase of the full moon, he has no choice, but he has to be in Krynos form. Now, he can use willpower to subdue this from one scene to the next, but generally, he is in Krynos form whenever there's a full moon. And he also has a compulsion. This is a one-pointer. These next two are one-pointers. His compulsion is because he was bullied his whole life growing up. He sees it as his job, especially because of his size that he's grown into, to protect others. So he does have a compulsion when he sees someone being bullied or picked on. He has to make a will save, or he's going to drop everything he's doing, stop what he's doing, and go over and help that person being picked on. And the final flaw to buy for 13 points of his merits to buy them off is a strict carnivore. He literally gets no sustenance at all from eating anything but meat. Red meat, white meat, fresh meat. He needs to be a meat eater. He is a carnivore strictly, and those are his merits and flaws, and that finishes out the character for Tom Vullo. He has to name the character, and then he'll be ready to run in this upcoming rite of passage that I have set up for everyone. So hopefully that cleared up any questions you may have had about character creation. If not, put it down in the comments. And me or Tommy V or one of the 20-sided warriors, we could answer you. We should answer you. We will answer you. We will. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm your buddy Big John Ed G for Two Gun Pixel presents Legendary Gaming, and I am out of here.